Ooh, fancy. What do we have here? Oh. So this is the Poco F6, and regardless of the little act I just did, I have been using this phone for about a week now. I am not really sure about its pricing just yet, but it should launch at around 30,000 Indian rupees or some $350. And this phone packs some amazing specs for the price. Snapdragon 8S Gen 3, 12-bit AMOLED display, 90-watt charging, Sony cameras. It's a pretty impressive spec sheet. Okay, so let's unbox this. Inside the box, we get some pretty basic stuff. There's the SIM ejector tool, we have some paperwork, and at the same time we also have this silicone cover which is not transparent. And then we have the phone itself. We have it in this silver color variant, but it is available in two other color options as well, green and black. The green one is not available in India though. And so, okay, and keeping it aside, we have a 120-watt charger inside the box, and then we have a USB Type-C cable. By the way, this phone only supports 90-watt charging, but you do get a 120-watt charger. Not complaining. Alright, first of all, let me get down with one of the not so good aspects about this phone, its design. You can see the design here is pretty basic. This is what most of 2024's phones look like. This is a plastic back and it has plastic frames, but it is well built, and the hands-on feel exactly is not bad, but it does not feel like you're holding a premium smartphone either. But the redeeming factor here is that on the display you get Gorilla Glass Victus protection, and it also has IP64 rating, but other than that, I think the design is pretty boring. But the display side of things is where the real gem is on the Poco X6. I have had the best time interacting with this screen. It is a 6.7 inches AMOLED screen. It has a 12-bit color depth, 1920Hz PWM dimming, 100% DCI-P3 color coverage, 2400 nits of peak brightness, and you can see the bezels are pretty trimmed down. So we can say that this is almost a flagship level display. I say it's almost flagship level because here the screen is LTPS and not LTPO, so its refresh rate cannot go as low as 1 or 10 Hz. The max I have recorded is 30. During our briefing, Poco did mention that this screen here can go from 30 to 45 to 90 to 120, but in my test, I could not record it going anywhere to 45 and 90, but I was able to get the display to switch between 30, 60 and 120 Hz. Okay, so there are other few things that I really appreciate about the display. The touch response here is really good, especially while gaming. And number two, its brightness is sufficient in sunny outdoor conditions as well. It can go up to 1200 nits in high brightness mode, but its display can also go really dim as well. So when I was using this phone till 1 AM, my eyes were slightly less affected. Anyway, the best thing about this phone is its performance. Finally, I feel like the Poco F1 legacy is back, and we have a Snapdragon 8 series chipset here, the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 along with DDR5X RAM and UFS 4.0 storage. Now, you have to know that the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 is almost as good as the 8 Gen 2. The only thing that the 8 Gen 2 does better is GPU performance because it uses a better GPU, but the CPU architecture is actually better on the 8S Gen 3. Plus, it also comes with on-device AI capabilities and it supports a few AI models as well. This phone does not necessarily support all the AI features, but the chipset does support it. So that's that, just letting you guys know again. Now, I will tell you that the real-life performance on this phone is just amazing. Games run smoothly, PUBG runs smoothly at around 88 FPS with great stability, and I also just received support for 120 FPS PUBG gameplay. Likewise, Genshin Impact runs at 58 FPS in high settings with great stability as well, and the temperature numbers are very favorable too. I mean, I recorded a max of 44 degrees while playing Genshin Impact for 30 minutes, but the cooling solution here is very effective, and I noticed that the heat dissipates quite easily here. The reason being, Poco has actually included a very big vapor chamber cooling here. They like to call it ice loop cooling, and according to them, this one is 3 times more effective than traditional PCs. Now, I'm not sure about the 3 times, but I never felt the phone getting uncomfortably hot, so I will give good points to this phone. I also tried shooting a 30-minute video in 4K 60 FPS to check how much the phone will heat, and here the numbers are on the screen, which are pretty impressive. And I appreciate that it didn't throttle and shut down, so that is nice as well. Anyway, Poco has improved a lot in the software side of things as well. Here you get Android 14 with HyperOS out of the box, and Poco has also promised for 3 years of OS updates and 4 years of security updates on this thing. And I have to tell you, HyperOS is not as demanding as MIUI, so you don't have to deal with unnecessarily heavy animations and stuff here. Plus, it's also quite optimized. I tried finding flaws, like I digged in really deep, but I could not actually find ads or things like that. I did notice that the System Music app runs a few ads, but other than that, in the UI, there is no unnecessary recommendations. So the experience, I would say, is pretty much clean on this device. There are a ton of pre-installed apps, like always, but most of them can be uninstalled, so that's not a big issue either. Even the overall experience here has been good. It has really nice speakers, by the way. They're really loud, balanced from both the units on the top as well as the bottom. And as expected, you don't get a lot of bass in a mid-range device, but they're nice sounding speakers, so no complaints. However, I am not a very big fan of the haptic motor here. It's not the worst, that I'll tell you. In fact, it's better than something like the Galaxy A35 or the Moto Edge 50 Pro. Poco does say that they've used an X-axis vibration motor, but I found it to not be very impactful. Just a day ago, I published a video of the Realme GT60 and it had a much better haptic feedback. But I do appreciate that the haptics here is implemented in the UI elements as well, which makes it sort of pleasant to use. Okay, moving on, one of the other aspects that's really good here is the battery life. It has a 5000 mAh cell, which gave me a full day of usage on moderate to heavy use. So I will not complain about that. Charging here is fast too. With the 90-watt charging support, this phone can go from 0 to 30% in 8 minutes, 50% in 17 minutes, and 100% in 45 minutes. Alright, so let's talk about the cameras now. And seems like Poco has learned their lesson from last year and gotten rid of the Omnivision sensor and included a Sony sensor instead, not just in the primary lens, but in the ultra-wide-angle lens as well. And after clicking a ton of pictures, I can say that the quality of cameras here has improved. I mean, Poco F5's cameras were, for the lack of a better word, completely garbage. But now it's not like that. Now, don't be mistaken, the cameras here are definitely better than the F5, but not extraordinary for the price. You will notice good details and dynamic range in the images, but I think Poco could still work a little on the color processing side of things. The images sometimes have overbearingly warm color tone, which does not seem nice. And I also found that the focus area here is quite narrow while shooting close-up shots, and the colors are not the most accurate too. Still, for general usage, the images are not bad. I actually did get some nice images with this one, and in appropriate lighting, you can get some good images from this phone, no doubt. The 8-megapixel ultra-wide-angle images are just okay though in terms of details, but I like the colors on the ultra-wide-angle images more than the primary ones. I also have been comparing its cameras with the Realme GT60, and Realme's output is a little better than Poco's, but I will make a separate comparison video of it, so don't forget to subscribe. During nighttime, the photos are not bad though. The warmth is there, but it does not spoil the aesthetics, so no issues on that part. I only wish the camera was able to maintain better sharpness though. Here is a side-by-side comparison of nighttime image from Realme and Poco, and evidently Realme is doing a better job. Now, portraits from this phone are decent most of the time. The subject's face is smoothened and sometimes there is this yellow tint on the skin, but it's not entirely bad, so I will not complain that much. I wish there was a 2x portrait option though. That was a major miss. Anyway, I am happy with the selfies that I got from this phone. It has a good amount of smoothing, but the end result is good. The exposure management and everything is nice, and the highlights are preserved well, so good points on that part. And the videography side has been improved as well. Previously on the Poco F5, there only was 4K 30 FPS recording, but here you get 4K 60 FPS recording as well. The 4K 60 FPS footages from the Poco F6 are actually nice enough. You will only see some jitters while moving. Otherwise, the details and color reproduction is good, so I will not complain much. If you switch to the 4K 30 FPS resolution, you will get smoother footages for sure. But I am slightly disappointed by the fact that its selfie camera cannot record more than 1080p resolution. The max you can go here here is 1080p 60. You don't have 4K option, which for this price range in 2024 is sort of disappointing. Okay, so with this, we've come to the end of this video, and as with all Poco phones, the Poco F6 is a great device for performance-centric users, and even for general usage for someone who wants a fast phone with a good display, speakers, everything. It is a very good upgrade over the Poco F5 in almost all the aspects: the display, the cameras, charging, software, performance, everything. That being said, I wish the cameras here were a little better in terms of color processing, and also the design, as I said, is very basic. But if you can live with those little shortcomings, this device is definitely up for my recommendation. So everybody, that's all for my unboxing and full review of the all-new Poco F6. As I said in my Realme GT60 video, I will be comparing these two devices, so if you guys would like to watch that, don't forget to subscribe. Saying this, I'm Pratima. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back soon.